Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. Forgive my appearance if I look a little picket or tired, well, it's the same thing, picket or tired, it's the same thing. I am. Forgive my appearance, but I am a little tired. I'm going to do 2 videos today, so you're going to see the same shirt in both videos. They'll be different though, 2 different videos. But I wanted to do a video update. Excuse me. I wanted to do a video update from my last video that I posted when I was in the hospital. And hopefully you can hear me. I'll try to speak up, but I'm still very weak and still in pain. So first, again, forgive me. So the last video I did from a hospital bed, and that was in January, the beginning of January. And just to give a little bit of a recap, and if I can actually figure out how to attach it, because I'm still new to this whole thing, so if I can figure out how to attach it, I will. But just to give a little bit of a recap, I've been sick for a little bit, and I thought it was the flu, and it turns out that it wasn't the flu. I woke up, I went to work one day, early January, and I've been having flu, what I thought were flu-like symptoms. The chills, a fever, tired, and because the flu was going around, I just thought, I was the next person to get it. So I treated it as the flu. I took cold and flu meds, and when it began to, what I thought, go away, I said, okay, then I caught it right in time. Well, it turns out it wasn't the flu. It was actually a serious infection in my reproductive system. And I'm sorry for the uhs and the ums, but I know better. But it was a serious infection, and we found this out because one day, a week after the whole flu symptoms started, or what I thought were flu-like symptoms started, went to work. My husband and I both went to work, and from previous videos, you know that my husband's been sick for over a year, and he was finally feeling well enough to go back to work, so he's back at work. So he and I, both went to work. We came home from work. We were tired, so we both lay down, took a little bit of nap. But I woke up from my nap in pain, severe stabbing, rip your guts out pain. And when I say rip your guts out pain, I mean that's exactly what it felt like. Someone was stabbing me in my lower stomach, twisting the knife, and then just ripping my insides out. That was some intense pain, to the point where I could not walk. I could barely talk. I made it to the bathroom thinking, it was maybe gas and I really had to go, but it was unlike anything I'd ever felt before. And I've had 3 babies, all natural. This pain was unlike anything I'd ever felt before. Was rushed to the hospital via ambulance, got to the hospital, found out I had an infection, a very severe infection, that had actually gone septic in my reproductive system, specifically my fallopian tubes. And was treated for that, was in the hospital for a week, was home on IV antibiotics for 2 weeks, and thought everything was fine. Was cleared by the doctors to go back to work. Had my IV tube taken out. I have it here now, but it was over here before, and I'm getting to what's going on here. Had the tube taken out and thought everything was fine. My youngest child had come down to be with me for 2 weeks to kind of help out around the house, because I couldn't really do much of anything. I wasn't supposed to be outside. I wasn't supposed to be doing anything strenuous. I could only go outside when I was going to doctor's appointments. The most strenuous thing I could do was bathe, and even that was limited. So anyway, I'm cleared to go back to work. Everything was supposed to be fine. Tuesday morning, my youngest left here, Texas, Tuesday morning, but we dropped her off, and that's a whole nother story. Off Monday night at the airport because she didn't want us to. She didn't want us to have to get up so early in the morning because the flight left at 7 in the morning, which means that she had to be at the airport by 5, no later than 6. And instead of us having to get up at 4 in the morning and get her to the airport, we dropped her off Monday night. And so anyway, Tuesday morning when we woke up, I had some pain in my left side, and it didn't feel right. It was odd, but it wasn't a sharp pain. It was a dull pain, but really very obvious. It let you know that it was gas. I got up, I actually went to work. It was my first day back at work. Went to work, and everybody was glad to have me back because I've basically been gone for 3 weeks, almost a month. And one of my coworkers came in and she was asking how I was feeling, and I was telling her, and I said the only thing that's really bothering me now is this pain in my side, and it kind of feels like gas because it feels like it's moving, but I'm not 100% sure. So she gave me something for gas, and it appeared to go away. The pain appeared to go away, and so I was like, okay, well maybe it was just gas. Maybe that's all it was. But about 30 minutes later, it came back, and it had not intensified, but it did come back. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know what this is. Maybe the medicine was old. I didn't know, but I proceeded with the day like everything was normal. She was the only one that knew that I was in pain, in any kind of pain. And but as the day began to progress, the pain intensified. It was still dull, but it intensified. So I came home from work. We got home from work. We again tired. So we both lay down. We ate, and lay down and just kind of relaxed. We didn't necessarily go to sleep, but we just kind of really relaxed. And the pain kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I did eventually fall asleep, but the pain just kept getting worse, and it was becoming really uncomfortable. And I knew it wasn't gas because it just wasn't budging. It wasn't going away. It wasn't moving. It was in the same spot, but intensifying. So I finally woke my husband up, and he had been, kind of concerned anyway. But I finally woke him up and explained to him that I needed to go to the ER because the pain was becoming unbearable at that point. It had, on a scale of 1 to 10, and this is what they always ask in the hospital, on a scale of 1 to 10, it had reached like a 9, 9.5. But by the time I got to the ER, it was a full-blown 10, 10.5. So we get there, they put an IV in me, and I'm a difficult person to IV because my veins are really very, of course you can't see them, but my veins are really very thin. They're really very light, and they're fragile. And I've always known this, but it was verified the first time I was in the hospital, and every vein that they could get, they blew, including the veins in my hand. Every single vein that they stuck blew. And so they were able to find one that was strong enough to put an IV in and get fluids in me. And they sent me back for a CT. And with that CT, they discovered that the abscesses that were all over my fallopian tubes before, that they thought had been fully treated by the first round of intense antibiotics, one of them had actually grown, which they had not seen on my last CT scan, which was crazy to me, because that says to me that either this was a brand new one, or when they did the last CT scan, this one was really small and they couldn't see it, and it grew in a matter of a few days. Literally, I had the CT on Thursday afternoon, and Tuesday morning I wake up with pain. So they did the CT scan, saw that the abscess had really grown, and it was impacting, it was pressing against my ureter, which was causing issues with my kidney, and that was the dull pain that I was feeling. It was a pain in my kidney. So at that point, they started me on the heavy doses of antibiotics again, and admitted me to the hospital and said, okay, we've got to do surgery. We were trying to avoid this, but it's unavoidable. And when I say that we were trying to avoid this, when I got the clear to go back to work, that was on Thursday. My infectious disease doctor, who's the one that's in charge of the heavy doses of antibiotics that I take, he had seen the blood work, and the infection wasn't showing up in the blood work. He was the one that ordered the CT scan and said, okay, I'm going to clear you to go back to work next week. I'm going to look at the CT scan when the results come back. If we see anything different, I'll give you a call. That was Thursday. Friday, I went back to his office because the infusion clinic that I had to go to for my IV antibiotics, the infusion clinic I have to go to is in his office, literally in his office. So I had to go back that Friday for them to take the PICC line out. Monday, I went to see the gynecologist because, as I said, the infection is in my reproductive system, specifically my fallopian tubes. Sitting with the gynecologist Monday, he had seen the CT results, he had seen the blood work results, and as far as he was concerned, everything was okay. So we talked about having the surgery because he still wanted to remove the fallopian tubes because that was the major issue. But more than that, he wanted to just go ahead and give me give me a hysterectomy, which I was 100% fine with and have wanted one for years, and I could not find a gynecologist that would do it. And I'm going to try to make this a little bit quick because I'm already at 13 minutes. But anyway, so we had discussed having the hysterectomy in March, and we were fine. This is what everyone had decided. You know, infectious disease doctor said everything was cool. The line had been removed. The gynecologist said, okay, let's plan on March for your hysterectomy. Tuesday, I wake up with this pain in my side. By midnight Wednesday, between Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm back in the hospital in severe pain again. CT scan says abscess, oversized abscess, impacting the ureter, which is causing issues with the kidney. So now this surgery that we had discussed happening in March has to happen now. So now we're in Wednesday, the full day of Wednesday, and I'm still in the ER because there are no beds available, and there are no beds available because we have a flu epidemic going on, so people are being admitted to the hospital for the flu. So I'm in the ER for about 15 hours before they finally have a room for me upstairs. Get upstairs, and I told the doctors, or I told the nurses, actually the nurses and the doctor in the ER, that they were going to have to put a PICC line in if they were going to start the heavy doses of antibiotics because my veins are weak and they're not going to take heavy doses of antibiotics. So when I get up to the room, they did have the person come in that puts the PICC lines in. She came in, put the PICC line in, and here we are getting these antibiotics. So I have my PICC line in. I was in the hospital from Wednesday, and I got out. I was discharged Monday, this past Monday. So basically 5, 6 days I was in the hospital. Went to the infusion clinic Tuesday so that they could change my dressing, flush my line, give me my next dose of medicine, and which I have to take in about 30 minutes, my doses for today. But so yeah, Tuesday I'm in the infusion clinic again, and they felt so bad for me because we had just gone through this process. They had just taken the line out. We had just celebrated me being free from this, and here I am again back in their clinic having to start this process all over again. So that's the latest. I haven't called the doctor's office to schedule my next appointment with him, but I've got at least, according to my infectious disease doctor, at least 2 to 3 weeks on heavy antibiotics. 2 to 3 weeks this time around. Last time it was 2 weeks, not including the week I was in the hospital. But this time he says he might take it to 3 weeks, not including the week I was in the hospital, because he just wants to be 100% sure that the infection is gone this time. And when they did the surgery, they took my fallopian tubes, they cleared out all of the infection that they could get, that they could see. They cleared it all out, and they took my fallopian tubes only. And the only reason that they only took the fallopian tubes is because the gynecologist said that when he got in there, he and the other surgeon that was there to assist, when they got in there, the infection was so bad that he really just wanted to concentrate on clearing out all of the infection, and getting the culprit, which was my fallopian tubes, out. And then we'll finishing the hysterectomy later, which I'm grateful for, but that just means I have to have another surgery. It's a painful process, but one of the things that I have said that I'm grateful for is that it's not more serious than it is. Because when you have an infection that goes septic, if you know anything about sepsis infections, you know that it could actually pollute your bloodstream and eventually kill you if not caught. It had started polluting my bloodstream the first time around, which is why I had to do the intense antibiotics the first time around. They're doing their best to keep it from polluting my bloodstream this time around, which is why he wants me on a longer duration of antibiotics. So I'm grateful. It could have been a lot worse. It could be cancer. I'm grateful that it's not. And this whole get up kind of reminds me of what some cancer patients have to go through. But I am truly grateful that it's not more serious than what it is. And that's kind of how I look at things in general. Bad situations, my family could be mourning a month of my no longer being here, So I am truly grateful that it is what it is and it's not worse. I mean, I just celebrated yesterday 7 years of marriage with my husband, and even though we didn't do anything because I'm in no shape to really do anything, we're still grateful that we have each other. And his health challenges, and right now his biggest thing is his back. He's been having some severe back pain, which really requires that he take muscle relaxers and intense pain meds, but he doesn't want to because he doesn't like the way it feels. And I can't be mad at him about that, because having back issues myself, and thankfully I haven't had to experience any in a while. Excuse me. I don't like taking muscle relaxers either. I don't like taking heavy doses of pain meds either, so I understand him fully. Pain meds now because of the surgery, and the numbing medication that they use is wearing off, so the pain is even more intense than when I first came home. So I do 100% understand where he's coming from and saying that he doesn't want to take the muscle relaxers, he doesn't want to take the pain meds, but I ask him every night to take something because he needs to get his rest so that he stays healthy, so that he doesn't relapse into his illness. So that's the update. Thank you so much for watching the video. I truly appreciate you. And for anyone that has sent up a prayer for us, we appreciate you for that, or had any kind thought towards our healing. We truly are grateful, because we know that it could be a lot worse than what it is. We know that our lives are literally at stake with these two different illnesses. His is gastroparesis, diverticulitis, and mine is this, intense infection that attacked my body out of nowhere. It has dumbfounded the gynecologist and the infectious disease doctor, because my tubes were tied over 10 years ago. And when I say over 10 years ago, I mean my youngest child, who is now 19, on her way to 20, was about 4 when I had my tubes tied, because I hadn't planned on having any more children. I had my 3, that was it. My then husband and I were separated, and we said even if we got back together, we weren't having any more children. So my tubes have been tied for quite some time, and the fact that that's where the infection was in both tubes just dumbfounded the gynecologist. I mean, I'm even dumbfounded, because it's like, how did that even come about? Who has ever, and maybe someone else has experienced this, I don't know, but it's just so bizarre. But anyway, I'm grateful. Thank you again for watching the video. Peace and blessings to you, and remember to walk in your purpose.